There are some pieces of cycling advice that just, well, sucks. And despite it being well-meaning, can be a major spanner in the works to your enjoyment and strength out on the bike. So in this video, I'm going to list a few nuggets you may want to throw straight in the bin. Haha! I think my number one bad piece of advice are those sort of offhand remarks without any sort of reasoning or knowledge to back them up, where you just tell someone they need to lose weight, they need to eat less, and they'll ride faster. It's a pretty dangerous approach and piece of advice to give someone, because it's not the best road to go down. When you're cycling hard, you're riding hard, you're training lots, you need the energy to sustain that, and if you don't do it, if you cut it back, you're going to hit a roadblock eventually. I think maybe my better piece of advice is to try to eat a balanced diet, get plenty of carbs in, fuel up on your rides and eat healthily, and the rest will kind of fall into place, especially if you're going to enjoy your riding. You don't want to be making it tough for yourself by eating less. Leave that to those who are really at the top of the game in professional ranks, who have all the support around them to help them do that. If you are going to try and lose weight, or maybe take a more restrictive approach to your food for whatever reason, what I would say is get the help of a professional who can really help you through that. Don't take one piece of advice and try and do it by yourself. Whack a load of pressure in your tyres up to the max, go super skinny and feel the speed is not necessarily true. I think wider tyres potentially a better option. They're comfier, so they're going to absorb the shocks and vibrations a bit more, which is then going to translate into speed. And once you're up and rolling, wider tyres are actually going to prove faster with less rolling resistance. So it's not always the case of just going super skinny and as hard as you can go. Plus, tyre pressure is different for everyone depending on your weight, where you're riding, sort of terrain and road surface that you're riding on. So do manipulate and change that depending on your own situation. Silca have a great tyre pressure calculator up on their website. We can input all the metrics possible, get a really accurate prediction of what sort of pressure you should be running on your setup. Slam that stem, get low, get aero, get fast. Whilst that may be true in some circumstances, it's not true in every single one. We've all got different degrees of flexibility. And slamming that stem, if it doesn't work for you, is going to impact your comfort, even if arguably it might improve the aesthetics of your bike. So definitely don't take it as a blanket rule. You need to whack that stem as low as it can go. I would say being told to do something because someone else does it, slightly questionable piece of advice, because just because it works for them doesn't mean it will work for you. Everyone is different, and I would say just because a certain person does something, or a pro does this in terms of their equipment, their setup, their training approach, it really doesn't mean it's going to get the same results with you. So treat every piece of advice with a pinch of salt and reflect on it before you really buy into it. One piece of advice we hear a lot of in cycling is that sometimes you need to harden up, knuckle down and push on through, which I admit you do need to do at times when you're on the bike. As a blanket piece of advice, I would disagree with it slightly, mainly because that sort of thinking can stop you from taking on goals in the first place, because you think it's just going to be so hard and you're worried about letting yourself down if you don't get through it. Plus, if you are just always trying to toughen up, you can ignore some other issues that are at play, maybe an injury or illness where you do actually need to accept defeat, stop. And I think a better piece of advice, rather than hardening up, would be to learn from your mistakes, learn from any reasons why you didn't get through something, and also to accept that that's okay, because you don't need to finish everything you started. It's all right to quit every now and again and come back a slightly stronger person and rider. You need this bike to do that. Isn't true, I don't think. I think a bike can be suited to certain things, but you don't need a certain piece of equipment or bicycle to do a certain thing, wherever that may be in the world. Any bike will do the job wherever you may be. And whilst one may be slightly better at doing it than others, and you're not going to take a road bike on a downhill course, really, if you've got a bike beneath you and you're pedaling away, you can do whatever you want with it. Same goes for equipment and saying that you need this, you need that. I think the point is that really don't feel like you need to get something to be able to enjoy cycling. You can really do it on whatever bike, whatever it may be. Head out, hit the road, have a cracking good time. There you go, a few pieces of advice that I would throw straight in the bin, but let me know in the comment section below what sort of bad advice you've been given and whether you listened to it straight away or chose to ignore it. As always, thanks for watching and we'll see you on the next video.